we've lost touch with our bodies because, in large part, because of diet culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because diet culture has preyed on our insecurities. If you feel that bad about yourself, then you're going to be desperate and pay for something to change.
You're listening to the You Can and You Will show, a podcast that empowers female leaders, high achievers, female executives, and artists to be confident, to overcome their obstacles, and live that exceptional and successful career and life. My name is Catherine Louise, and I'm a business and mindset mentor and communication expert, best known for mentoring female leaders, executives, and artists so that they can flourish in their career and life. And you can and you will. I'm sitting down to share the tools to create that success and lifestyle and how to make an impact. Hi, and welcome back to a brand new episode here on You Can and You Will. I'm your host. I'm Catherine Louise. I'm a business and mindset mentor and communication expert. And today I have a very lovely guest, which I'm so excited about because this is a topic we all know. So give it an all warm welcome to Casey, the holistic nutritionist. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on the show because I have questions.
I love it.
Okay, so first of all, I mean, we probably all know nutrition experts, coaches, but the thing which has made me stumble upon you, like literally, is holistic nutritionist. Where is that name stemming from? Like, how did you know, okay, this is my title?
Yeah, I love this question. So I, for years, struggled with eating issues that ranged all levels of the spectrum. And I kept then going back to, I need another diet. Like, if only I'll do this plan and then
Yeah.
I'll lose the weight. And then once I'm that body, then I'll be normal with food. And then things are going to be good. Right.
Yeah.
However, what I now know is our approach has to be how we maintain and sustain. And I was making myself crazy, obsessing about food, worrying about food, and stressing about it all the time. And it wasn't until I was able to really understand how to listen to my body, how to fuel it properly, not see food as the enemy, and also realize that it's about more than food. It's
Uh-huh.
about your mindset, it's about your environment, it's about your lifestyle. And so I was able to heal my relationship with food. I was able to shed the excess weight that didn't serve me because I had been all over the map. And in the final stage of my journey, I had gained weight to a point that was uncomfortable personally for my body. And I was able to maintain that with ease and with joy and finally feel like I could live my life fully. And so with that knowledge, I went back to get my certifications and specifically focus on functional and holistic health because it's so important to me, the mind-body connection. When we talk about holistic nutrition and holistic health, we're focusing on the mind-body connection. We're focusing on the individualization. Holistic nutrition acknowledges that each person's unique. It's also about the whole person, and that's something I emphasize. The whole person approach. It's not about just what you eat or just the exercise or even just like the meditation. It's about you as a whole and thinking about the entire being versus these isolated pieces. When we focus on the isolated pieces, we're not getting a full picture. And it is that full picture and that understanding that we need to make true, lasting change.
Wow, I love that. And you know what? Hear you talk. I just had a huge aha moment because I have been going through my fair shares of eating disorder. I have been there for years and being pregnant 3 times, I've gained so much weight. But what I just realized when I listened to you was that, especially in our culture, it is never about focusing on how you feel, your relationship with food, but it's always about that hustle on, oh no, you gotta try this diet and this new, food trend, and this is how you're gonna lose weight real quick, but how do you sustain it? I've never heard somebody say you should feel good. And then whenever I saw beautiful women, there are a whole lot of influencers feeling like so beautiful. And then, no, I'm not going on a scale. I just, take care of how I feel. And I'm like, really? Does that exist? And I'm like, I just always was striving to be at that place. So I think your approach is like we have lost that connection to our bodies, how we feel, how food makes us feel because of this society kind of programming, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. We've lost touch with our bodies because, in large part, because of diet culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because diet culture has preyed on our insecurities. Diet culture wants you to feel really shitty about yourself. Because when
Yeah.
they do that, then you want to buy their products, you want to follow their plans. And the point is if you feel that bad about yourself, then you're going to be desperate and pay for something to change. And the thing is that there can be some really wide ends of the spectrum. So there's diet culture, very much not a fan of that. But then there gets to a point where some people are like, I'm going anti-diet culture, which we love. But then they get to the point of just not dieting, and they're not focused on health and how they're feeling. So they are like, okay, I'm not dieting, and it can be liberating to be like, stop with that. Like, I'm not going to listen to this. Yes. But then they start to and have this phase of, okay, I'm just going to eat all the things I didn't let myself eat. And sometimes, to some degree, we may need that phase to just kind of have for a certain period of time, depending on how like largely we were entrenched in diet culture. But that's not serving people for the long term either, right? To just be like, I'm not dieting and I'm just then not thinking about my health. And so what I want people to focus on is what I call the after effect. How do you feel after you eat? So this is the thing. If you are going out and you're having ice cream with your friends, you're going to feel good about that after. You enjoyed the food, you had an amount that like felt good, you enjoyed the experience, whatever. Maybe it's even like you made a nice dinner for yourself and you had a dessert alone. It doesn't have to be just enjoyed with someone, but you made yourself I'm going to say s'mores bar because I just made those at home. You made yourself a s'mores bar, you enjoy it and whatnot. That's very different than if you are having a pint of ice cream because you're stressed and you're watching TV and you're not feeling good about it, right? Like, what is your after effect? So you can be eating the same thing and after feel differently. And so said, like, having a treat, you can feel good after, but also having a treat, you cannot feel good after. You can feel good after having a salad, and you cannot feel good after having a salad if it wasn't enough food to nourish you. And so it's not a one size fits all approach. And again, what diet culture has led us to believe is that we need to trust everything but our own body. You need to trust an app. You need to trust a diet plan. You need to trust this point system. You need to trust this meal delivery service that has everything packaged like airplane food, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's have women not trust their body and instead have to rely on someone else and pay them for it.
Well,
So
it's a
we
whole industry, right? They make
exactly.
millions and billions of dollars off of our own insecurities. Like, yeah, it's insane. And I love how you say how you feel after eating because I know at my healthiest phase in my life, I was feeling good after having a meal.
You want to get to the point where you feel satisfied, not stuffed. You want to get to the point where food gives you energy. This also goes for workouts. People are like, I don't know if it was too much or not.
Hmm.
It can be hard in the moment, but 5 minutes after you finish the workout, you should feel energized and you should feel like you shouldn't feel depleted. If you feel once in a while that may happen, right? Like we might test ourselves. Okay, you don't need to beat yourself up about it. But overall, your workouts, you should be able to come away from them feeling, I said, like feeling energized and feeling empowered. And again, that's how you should feel with food, feeling energized, feeling satisfied, being able though to take on the day. If you're feeling super bloated or if you are lacking energy, like these are all signs. And it's not something we should beat ourselves up over. It's just like, wow, this is cool. My body is giving me cues. My body is telling me I need more or not enough, or that food's not great for me. Let's make friends with our body instead of trying to fight it.
Yes, this is so important. So, what do you actually suggest? Now, let's say I know there's so many people out there who are who might feel overwhelmed because they feel like they're not educated as in where do I start? Like when
Mm-hmm.
you're so entrenched into this whole diet culture, and I think most of us have been, and we have never really known anything else because of, In school, you never really learn anything about that, leave alone listening to your body. So, where do you start? Do you suggest counting calories at all? Do you suggest not to? Do you suggest, like, how do you go about that? Where should people start?
Yeah, so I definitely don't suggest counting calories. What I suggest is instead focusing on building balanced meals. So I like all my clients to make sure they're having a balance of protein, fat, and fiber at all their meals. I find most women are under eating protein. If you're under eating protein, it's not going to be good for your blood sugar. It's not going to be good for your hormones, and you're going to be hungry all the time. So
Mhm.
if you want to work on if you're like, I have crazy sugar cravings all the time, probably not having enough protein. So I don't have any of my clients count macros, but we can just use it as a way to empower us. Like, how can I make sure I have enough of this? That way we get out of the scarcity mentality. Calorie counting is scarcity mentality. Oh my God, I need as little as possible. This is about addition mindset. How can we add? How can we add more colors and vibrance with different types of veggies and fruits, diversity in proteins, adding different types of healthy fats, experimenting with new recipes? How can we get excited? And a big thing I would say is really getting back in touch with your hunger and fullness cues, paying attention to your body. One big tip I would say is try to eat as much as possible undistracted. Try to make your environment calm and don't sit in front of a TV. Don't sit in front
Mhm.
of, don't be on your phone. It may seem boring. I don't really care. You need to listen to your body, and you're not going to be able to listen to its cues if you're distracted all the time. And you will be amazed how much you're able to listen and be like, maybe I'm actually full before the plate is finished, right? Because once you give yourself that opportunity to have that space to listen to your own cues.
I love that because is something about, most of us have been raised with that. Now you got to eat that plate up, like you need to be finished. But a question that is really concerning me, I know most of my clients, they're like really busy. They're either in the executive or business women, entrepreneurs. They really don't have that much time. And
Mhm.
I so understand, and I might have been there myself too. You know, I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, no, definitely.
No, here's the thing. When we're so busy and caught up, all of those services, trying to advertise their fresh meals with all of the good ingredients, that seems convenient, especially when you have a
Hmm.
family. And I know I really try to cook fresh because I have 3 kids, I have a husband, and I know
Hmm.
nutrition is so important, especially for children. But boy,
Yeah.
it takes time. So, especially then when you're like in the executive, like my clients, like you don't really have that much time to meal prep or cook fresh every single day. What do you suggest for really busy people? How do they? I mean, first of all, I believe it's even more difficult to have that switch, that in mindset, and then also really trying new things, but also really time wise.
Hmm. So I would say there's nothing wrong with outsourcing with food. And that's partly what I teach is how you're able to make healthy decisions that honor your goals wherever you go. I will say though that there is a benefit to being connected with your food. And so maybe you don't have time to cook every day. Like totally understand that. I work with a lot of busy people too. So very much resonate, and busy moms.
Hmm.
But maybe we could focus on some ingredient prepping. Maybe that means you buying a rotisserie chicken or canned tuna roast. And so you buy that, you roast some veggies, and you make sure to have some grains on hand and healthy fats. Like, and then you just create a bowl that takes 5 minutes. I just sent my client was like, I bought pre-made salmon. What do I do with it? And I just sent her a list of 10 recipes that take 10 minutes or less for her to just use the pre-made salmon and use it, right? We
Great.
need to get out of our limiting beliefs too. The limiting belief that I don't have time. Like, you have 5 minutes. You
Hmm.
do. What are you prioritizing or not? Are you scrolling on social media? Are you engaging in conversations with people that maybe you should have boundaries with? Are you, what? And I'm not saying that you should have no, like every time management things, you should do everything at every second. Like, of course, I think there's also space for you to engage on social media. I'm not saying like then don't do it, but be honest with yourself and your time, and what activities are giving you energy versus like energy draining versus energy giving activities. And if you have that half hour in the weekend, How can you make an activity with your kids? How
Mhm.
can you make it an activity with your spouse? How can, with a friend maybe? Like I have the people that they'll with their friends on the weekend do, like that's their way of getting some social time. Or maybe maybe it's together, maybe it's virtual with a family member, with their mom, they cook together a recipe. Like we can get creative here and we can find ways to increase social connection and increase our health.
I love that. It's so true. We have to really pay attention to how we're spending our time. But then again, I applaud that you actually say, and like, you're not against outsourcing, because I know there are people who just really don't have a choice when it comes to, how they can meal prep or whatever. How do you feel about, like, moving your body, going to the gym? Because I know that has been the biggest game changer for myself. Because
Uh-huh.
once I started going to the gym and realized I actually love it a lot, it's like therapy, right? But
Yeah.
also, I found like when I am in that gym routine, I automatically make a whole lot of different food choices. Do
Hmm.
you know why that is? Because I almost find it spooky. It seems to be like such a natural thing to do, to gravitate towards healthy foods instead of when you're, in that rut when you really don't move that much and stuff.
Hmm. No, this is so it's interesting that you asked this question, but it makes sense from a neurobiological perspective. So what happens is basically when you are working out and you are achieving that success, a lot of times with working out, maybe you're doing like weight training. So you're like, I'm going up in weight, right? And so you get this rush and you get this dopamine rush because
Mhm.
the dopamine is the hormone of motivation. And dopamine is when we have these successes, right? So you accomplish something, and from a neurobiological perspective, you can breed more motivation. And so you're doing something in the gym, you are finding success there. And so as a result, you are creating hormones that are making you feel motivated to want to do more. And when we can find success in one area, we generally will lead to success in other areas. So that can even happen. For example, think about kids. Like you're doing well, you're studying for a test, and the kid gets an A and feels so good because they worked really hard. They like that feeling of getting the praise maybe from their parents, of seeing that A, of getting the acknowledgement from their teacher. And so you breed off that feeling. And so that then leads to more motivation with, that dopamine driving it for you to want to get the next day and the next.
Mhm.
But what that can also lead to is then if you get the B or the C or the D, a crash and burn. What's the even point, right? And that's where I see a lot happening. People are really motivated and they honestly go too all in with dieting and exercise, and they just get this rush of like, oh my God, the weight is dropping off and every day and this and that, or I'm doing this and that. And then the weight stalls, right? And that's why I don't really like using the scale as our main metric. Also, health is so much more than a weight on the scale, and we can use it to some degree, but our body composition is so much more than just our weight, and our health is so much more than our weight. But anyway, we then all of a sudden our weight stalls, and we're like, I've been putting in all this effort, and my weight is stalling or it's going up.
Yeah.
What's the effing point, right? And then people throw in the towel. So we need to recognize from both ends how our motivation and reward cycles and signals and triggers are affecting our behaviors.
That is so interesting that you're saying that. And also, you are not using the scale. So you are one of those women that
Yeah.
I admire so much. Be like, I'm just feeling comfortable. Like, oh, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love that you're saying that, because it's actually confirming that, like, the desire I have for myself. And I bet a lot of other women too. How do you do that? Because I found like, it's definitely kind of controlling, obviously, but also like looking for confirmation that whatever you're doing is actually working. So, how do you measure that kind of success, or how do you go about that?
So we need to have a deeper why. So what most women who come to me, they want to lose weight, but we focus on, and they come to me because they realize that there are greater things to solve. So whether that be, They are wanting to have more energy. They're wanting to balance their hormones, get their periods back, be able to feel healthier in general, prevent chronic disease, work through certain health conditions. Like as I said, a lot of them, they just want to feel healthier in their bodies. They want to feel less overwhelmed with food. They want to stop stressing about dieting. And in the past, the only way that they've been quote unquote healthy has been following a diet. And so they're like, okay, I don't want to follow a diet anymore, but I'm scared I'm going to blow up, or like, I'm not going to be able to be able to maintain my weight if I'm not counting calories. So what we do is we focus on other metrics of success and focusing on how we're feeling, focusing on our energy levels, our sleep, focusing on overall happiness, focusing on our mindset in general. And what I find is by taking the weight, pun intended, off of our weight and off of like focusing on it, we're able to restore our body to and shed excess weight that doesn't serve us without focusing so much on it. When we focus so much on it, we give it so much power. We stress so much more about it. And I find that it makes it even harder for people to create healthy, sustainable activities they enjoy and that they can keep with, because they're so focused on what is the activity to lose weight versus what's the activity to be healthy. And when they focus on the activity to be healthy and they're focusing on their feeling, they end up creating habits and behaviors, like with my guidance, that work for them, that they enjoy, and then the weight can come off, and it comes off so much more effortlessly.
Oh, I bet that. But yeah, overcoming that really diet culture, I can imagine this is a huge one. You just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned something that let me hear it out, because you were just talking about hormone balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to spoil here, but I'm 40. And I definitely have figured that my hormones, especially after having 3 kids, are changing so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been trying to get into different things, like researching on yoga when it comes to hormones. Does exist as well. I've never known that before. But I definitely heard before that you can like regulate your hormones with food.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
So hormones, first of all, we need to consume the proper building blocks to create hormones. So that includes things like proteins to have amino acids, and again, like healthy fats, having enough fiber to help assist with digestion. If we are not going to the bathroom regularly, then as a result, we are reabsorbing. Like if we are not pooping every day or on a regular basis, this could actually lead to estrogen dominance because it gets reabsorbed into our body if we're not properly eliminating it. So we need to have proper nutrition for liver support, for digestion. And again, making sure that we're eating enough and of the right nutrients to create the building blocks to create the essential hormones for our body. This also includes overall lifestyle factors, includes our overall sleep, making sure that our exercise routine is in line with supporting our cycle, whether it's, because we are having a period, whether it's through perimenopause or menopause. Like we have different phases, and women have much more complex hormonal cycles than men. And so therefore we need to treat our bodies differently. And we are not just small men, we are much more complex than that. And so it's very important for us to, first of all, feed ourselves enough to be able to listen to our body, and for us to eat, really focusing on blood sugar balancing meals, which is not having carbohydrates in isolation, really making sure to have enough protein and fat and having fiber as well. This is going to help to prevent blood sugar spikes, which is going to help with hormone regulation.
Wow. That is so interesting, because I also have heard about blood sugar spikes before, but I didn't know that, that was in correlation to hormones. Relearning everything about nutrition, because to most, especially as women, it's always about the weight. The conversation is always about the weight. It is never on, as you said, how we feel, or like
Mm-hmm.
what do you actually have to eat? Like what kinds of foods, as you mentioned before, fiber or just everything. And I love how you shared this, because I don't think that really ever that conversation is heard as much as losing weight. And one thing that is fascinating me, but in a bad way, is that it seems like today, 2023, we're so advanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have all of this technical gear and stuff and cars and going to the moon and having AI. But it feels like when it comes to nutrition, we actually have to forget about everything we have learned in the past, I don't know, 100 years or so, because
Hmm.
we would really need to actually get back to being in touch with our bodies, right? It's like almost absurd. Like we're so advanced and still
Hmm.
we're doing those mistakes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's almost like the more advancements we make everything so granular. We're like, what supplement solves this? Or like, what food? Like, so
Yeah.
many people are like, what food do I need for hormones? I'm like, it's not one food. We need to focus on, again, the holistic, like just literally what we started this with. Um, we need to focus on the whole body. Again, like,
Mhm.
what is if you can eat the same exact meal, but if you're stressed, you're not going to digest it in the same way. So we need to think
Yes.
about our environment when we're eating, our stress levels, our overall mindset. What is our relationship with food? If we are labeling all food versus as good versus bad, like the stress that puts on our body, how that leads to yo-yoing our relationship with our bodies in general. There's so many other factors. We know we talk about sleep, we talk about hydration, we talk about exercise. Like it can seem overwhelming. And so what we do is then we're like, okay, how can then I distill it? Like, what is this one little nugget? And people just ask me, like, what's your top tip? And like, again, I get it's coming from a good place, but
Yeah.
at the same time, the point of health is finding what works for your body, getting guidance to make sure that it is like obviously healthy what you're doing, but really being able to take a more macro level view of your routine, of your health, versus just getting so granular in the weeds. Because a lot of people like to focus on numbers because it can
Mhm.
seem some sense of security, and numbers so tangible
Yeah.
versus just how I feel or just how how I feel in my clothes or how I feel mentally. Like it's hard to give a number to that,
Yeah.
but we hold on to these data points versus really getting in touch with us internally.
I love Yeah, that is so true. And I remember when we just started talking, you were talking about this is not a one size fits all, but this
Yeah.
is why it's not just nutrition. It's not only meditation or exercise, but really is a combination of all. And I
Mhm.
think this is the very first time I ever hear talking about somebody talk about nutrition where I'm like, okay, this I believe. Because
Yeah. Well,
also
thank
it's
you.
no, seriously, and I think it is so important for people to listen to you because this is also not, and I figured that in my 40 years, like not a one size fits all, but also not this is going to work for you for the rest of your life. Because obviously, especially us women, we change a lot with every decade. And this is
Mhm.
why it is even more so important to really be connected to your body and listen to it, right?
Yeah. It's again, it's like sense of that fulfillment, that rush of someone is telling that you just and that's what signing on to an app that says like you met your calorie goal for the day. It's looking externally versus looking internally. Looking internally is harder to develop those skills, but it's so much more rewarding and sustainable and lifelong fulfilling.
Well, I'm so guilty of that. You just got me.
It's
But
what most people, the same, it's what we've been trained. So
yeah, that's a problem. But I really want, and this is like one of my biggest goals, also because the kids are watching, right? Kids are watching much more
mhm,
than listening. And I just really want to get to that place of really trusting my body and not an app. And I love that.
yeah.
Thank you so much. When people want to reach out to you, want to work with you, where do I send them to? I'm obviously going to put all of your links down below in the show notes, but do you want to share on where we can find you?
Yeah. So I am most present on Instagram at Your Case for Wellness is the place to find me. And there you can find all of my links. I'll also, you'll have it in the show notes. I have private coaching available. So that's my, private container working with women. And I also have some other things coming out soon, some new program offerings. So stay tuned. And for your listeners, I would love to provide you all with my, like Your Case for Wellness nutrition bundle with my 3 top nutrition tips video. I know I was like saying top tips, whatever, but that as well as my stop overeating guide. So I will include that for your listeners and hopefully they enjoy it.
Oh, wow. I'm going to do it too.
I love that.
Okay, but before I let you go, I have 5 questions I would love to ask you. Question number 1, which I figure is like quite fitting right now. What is your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite foods are salad and ice cream.
Oh,
Not
okay.
together, but yeah, salad and ice cream are, it's funny. My mom always said that growing up, and I was like, I don't know, it's just maybe ice cream for me. Then as I got older, I was like, it is salad and ice cream.
I love that. So that has never changed, never?
Oh no, I've always, it's like I said, I love veggies. I love my crunchy veggies. I love all types of salad, and I always love ice cream. Just it's always been the same.
Oh, I love that. Question number 2. If you could pick any person, who would you love to spend a weekend with?
Oh, that's hard. I'm guessing you're saying living. So I would say right now, I would like to spend a weekend with my friend who lives in Amsterdam because I know almost never get to see her. And so
Oh,
I would love to spend a weekend with her.
I hope you get to see her again soon. Number 3, what is your greatest achievement yet?
My greatest achievement, I would say honestly, taking the plunge to start my own business.
Mm-mm.
I was working in a comfortable position in the corporate world. I decided to leave it. I started to move to Israel for half the year and start my own business. And I've been able to be very successful in my business and have like grow to success beyond what I was able to do in corporate in a very short amount of time. And why that is my biggest success is because my success directly correlates to the amount of women I've been able to help and how I've been able to spread my message. And so I feel so empowered. I feel so grateful to do what I do. And it's something that is, I know, just the start of a lifelong journey for me.
Oh, I love that. Well, and also when I listen to you and how you speak and how you light up, it's like that is 100% you. Like there is not even a doubt about that. It's like what you live, what you breathe. You just really want to share wisdom and help. I can totally tell that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, welcome. I just love that you actually then took that, leap of faith and really followed that because I know there's so many gifted women out there who are too scared to make that move. So I really want to applaud you because this is
Yeah.
so good. It's inspiring. Question number 4. What would your advice to your younger self be?
Oh, I would say that your weight on your scale isn't your worth.
Mm,
I would say also your body's more than a math equation, which is something I say all the time. It's not calories in versus calories out. You're so more complex than that. And the final thing I would say is that you don't need to be anyone but yourself, which is so corny, but it took until me leaving college for me to really embrace who I was and realize that what people like about me most is being uniquely me versus trying to emulate those around me.
amen. Yes, I love that. That's a good one. Question number 5. What is your greatest source of inspiration?
My greatest source of inspiration, I would say, would honestly be my clients as well as nature, just like getting around and getting exposed. I find that I am in my best state when I am disconnected from technology and I'm able to experience outside. I live in California, so I'm very lucky that year round that is something that's accessible to me.
Mhm.
But that inspires me and just inspires me the women that I get to work with and what they accomplish. And just the things that they go through, whether it's past trauma or diet experience, whatever it is, and how they're able to overcome it, it's just so inspiring.
Aw. Casey, thank you so, so much for your time, for sharing all of this really incredible and important knowledge with us. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. I really, really appreciated you having me, and it was great chatting with you.
Yes, it was very great. And for all of my listeners, I'm going to talk to you next week, and I see you soon. Bye.